Right. India have restricted South Africa to 112 for 7, thanks to the Rajeshwari Gaikwad 3 for and 1 wicket each for Arundhati Reddy, Deepti Sharma, Simran Dil Bahadur, and Radha Yadav. So 112 for 7. We'll get down to discussing the first half of the final T20 between India and South Africa on the outside you live powered by Vespa and Aprilia. Before that, let's take a look at the SXR 160.
You're late.
Don't just lie. Max excited.
A 112 for 7 after being put into bat. Remember, India had won the toss and opted to chase. I have with me Claire Cowan on the outside view live powered by Vespa and Aprilia. Claire, I know you don't really judge a track until both teams have batted, but your first thoughts looking at this surface of the final T20I?
Well, I'm sorry. After the Indian batting innings, but much better from the Indians, and probably like the most important was just the intensity at which they came onto the field. It was a different side. It is kind of, you kind of went, well, why couldn't they have done that from the first T20? We saw some clips of the young Sony getting her cap and some laughter and excitement happening within the sort of the team huddle, and that sort of obviously got them off on a really good footing and a good note, and they bowled beautifully, absolutely beautifully. We've been saying Rajeshwari the whole series so far, and absolutely there's nothing different. The biggest difference though in the third T20 is the other bowlers have come to the party and have assisted her and helped her, so she's not the only one picking up the wickets and keeping the economy rate going. Low. Everyone else around her has picked up the odd wickets and then kept the economy, built dot balls, which got wickets. And as a result, they restricted South Africa to definitely a way below par score.
Yeah, 150 you were expecting, every one of us was expecting, given that it seemed like a good batting track. But when the Indians bowled today, and we were doing Rajeshwari throughout the series, but look at this, the final ODI, she comes up and picks 3 for 13. And in the final T20I, she comes around and picks 3 for 9. So she seems to like these final games, or that's what I just tweeted saying, wondering if her final destination was one of her favorite movies. Your thoughts about how she went about with her bowling?
Yeah, I saw that from Radha, and I think she was spot on. It's almost like she's wanting. It's not like she hasn't bowled well, and she kind of, if she can, save the utmost best for last and really go out with a bang. She bowled beautifully, and I think, look, the pitch did assist her, but you've got to use the pitch, and you've got to make sure you're putting it on the right spot to use the pitch. So there seemed to be a little bit of extra bounce that came out of the wicket, but she was just so clever the way she set up the batswoman. We saw her obviously with her spin taking the ball away from the right-handed bat ladies. And then, as we saw Lizelle Lee, she set up beautifully, and it's just the other one, the ball coming back into the batters and then getting caught, trying to make space, you see, again. So bowling a really good line, trying to create space to hit it through the offside, and then just cramping them up, choosing the wrong shot to play, and then getting bowled. So she bowled beautifully well, used the conditions, and that's what you've got to do as a spinner. It's not a case of just going in and bowling and hoping for the best. You've got to use the conditions, set the batters up, and then you get sort of, reap the rewards from that. It was also interesting because you could see the nerves of Faye Tunnicliffe. She came out, and it was that young inexperience that just wanted to. We spoke about it in the pre-match build-up, trying to take the leather off the cricket ball. And she really tried just to hit the ball far too hard in the beginning, and she struggled then to get momentum. Struggled to get her timing, whereas if she'd just been able to nudge it around, pick up the singles, the twos, maybe use the pace of Reddy a little bit to put the ball into the gaps, and then she could have got herself in and then been able to launch. But shame, she was under pressure. She only got 18 or 35, and taking so many dot balls, that sort of helped the Indian bowlers create more pressure. Yeah,
let's take a look at that batting card for South Africa. 28 from Sune Lee's and 25 down the order by Lara Goodall. But look at that, 7 wickets have fallen, 5 of them have been clean bowled. So seems to be the case of India bowling in line of the stumps and the pace and the pitch doing the rest by South Africa missing them. But here's what I want to know from you, Claire. Lara Goodall looked very good in the ODIs. I know she took her time to get going, but eventually she really looked good. She played a couple of good match-winning innings. And here she is coming at number 7, 5 wickets down. Whereas we've just been speaking about left-arm spinners, 2 left-arm spinners bowling for India, taking the ball away from right-handers. Do you think South Africa had missed a trick there?
I think it's a lovely point that you've just raised. And the other thing I want to say is Lara Goodall, we've seen even in the ODI series, her innovation and her variation in shots, but then when she chooses to play those shots. So it's all good and well having all the different shots to play, but it's a skill to be able to select the right shot to play against the right ball so that you don't get yourself into trouble. It's an interesting point and something the South African management are going to have to give some thought to. Look, it's difficult because you don't want Faye Tunnicliffe. You've given her an opportunity. You don't want her coming down too far down the order and then not getting an opportunity in the only game that you kind of give her. Lara Goodall's been in the side for the last 3 T20s. The only difference is sort of the top 4 have managed to do the business for South Africa, so she hasn't really had to come in. Now South Africa, the top order hasn't done the business, and now what you do? Now you're in a little bit of trouble. And that's been the difference in it. And we saw how well she batted. She was absolutely fantastic. You know, I totally agree. I think she probably should have come up and maybe even started in that number 3 position. But you have to give it to Faye Tunnicliffe, you know, getting the first opportunity. So then you ask your question, you know, do you fiddle around? You've already now taken Sunay List out of number 3. You don't want to drop her too far down. Laura Wolfart's done well in number 4, and you're still wanting her as a youngster to gain experience in that number 4 spot. So, you know, are you going to then just move her 1 up against, you know, and drop sort of Nadine de Klerk to 7 and then she takes 6? It's probably not going to be quite enough for Lara Goodall. So it's an interesting scenario. Hindsight is an exact science, and of course in this game we would have said, oh well, of course, you know, put her higher up. But that's the position she's been batting in for the whole series. So I guess the question then comes down to, do you have a very flexible batting lineup? And does South Africa look to go, cool, we've lost 3 or 4. Do we now, or sorry, 3 or 4, now do we look to put in Lara Goodall and try and let her play her innovative shots, which we can see she's doing really well at. That is more the mindset I would like to see us sort of implementing, not necessarily just going, cool, it's 1 to 11 and that's what we need to stick to. Let's see what we can do with flexibility, what position we get ourselves into, and then create, you know, an opportunity for 1 or 2 of the other batsmen to come in higher up.
Yeah, fair point that, and you really rightly said that hindsight is a good friend to have, and I just sent a friend request to Hindsight on Facebook. But that's a good thread to kind of wrap our show and move towards the Indian innings. Of final thoughts. What should India ideally do? Because Harleen has played 2 matches at number 3. There's Jemima Rodrigues, who's not had the best of game time. And there's Simran Dil Bahadur, there's Ayushi Soni. Your final thoughts on what India should do? Should they go and win the match clinically, or should they try and give game time to these lower order players?
No, look, I think it's really important that they win this 3rd T20. The bowlers have given them all the opportunity, and really there is really no way South Africa can win this unless they go hard and they bowl India out, and that's the only option. And then we're going to need to see sort of Shivnam or Tumi Sekukune come through, maybe Shangasi, and one of them have to pick up 3 or 4 wickets. That's the only way South Africa are going to win this. I don't think India should approach it any differently. You must say to Shafali, go back to a normal game. Say to Harleen, go back to a normal game. They've all done brilliantly so far. There hasn't really been too many issues. It's more the acceleration near the end of the innings that's been an issue for them. So, you know, don't put shackles on them. Let them go and play their natural game, and India should win this comfortably.
India should win this comfortably, says Claire, as Shefali Verma has got off to a flyer, hitting a 4 and a 6 of Shabnim Ismail's first 2 balls. We'll pick up this conversation on the post-match show. Thanks for watching the Outside View Live part by Vespa and Aprilia. See you after the match.
You're late.
Don't just live life, maxify it.